Hello and welcome to another session of Karen's Colours. I'm Dr. Karen and these are my colour conversations. It's that time again for another monthly reading, and this time we're going to be looking at each of your birthday months in terms of what will happen in December. For this month's reading, I've decided to use a very simple oracle card to accompany it. It's called the Mystic Journey Oracle, and it consists of a card with a single word. And let's see what it has to say that might accompany the readings that are to follow. I certainly hope you've been getting something positive out of the readings I've been doing this year. I'll continue on for a little while longer before I make a decision about whether or not to continue them. They haven't received a great deal of interest so far, but I'm extremely hopeful. And as Cash Peters would have it, just keep on. If it's your soul's journey, you'll get there. So that's where I'm going. All right, I'd like to welcome back those of you who have been following this series of sessions, and I hope that your colour readings for each month have had something of interest for you that's helped to guide you through that month. It has been a very tumultuous year across the world, and we're now coming to the close of it, and hopefully by the end of this upcoming month, we'll be back to some sort of normality for the new year for 2026. But for now, let's just look at December 2025. If you're new here, this is not the sort of reading that you would find in a tarot reading. This is done per month because we tend to resonate to our birth months regardless of our cultural backgrounds, and also because colours don't read quite the same as tarot cards do. But I hope you'll find it interesting enough to come back. Let's see, shall we? Let's now do a colour reading for people born in the month of October for December 2025. And firstly, we'll choose ourselves an oracle card. And put it under there for later. And now I want some colour cards for people born in the month of October to examine how their December 2025 is likely to travel. Whoa. All right, we begin with green on white. We go to pink on pink, white on white, and the underlying energy is blue on grey. Right, the first thing we notice is that there is a colour that is repeated 3 times, and that is white. White appears as the underlying energy, the underlying need or drive in what is coming into the month, and it also appears as both the top and bottom, that is the driver as well as the action of what it is that is leaving the month. Along with this, we also have another colour repeated, and again it's in the same circle, and that is pink. Now, there are only 12 of these single colour circles in the entire pack. 1 is fairly unusual, 2 is very unusual, and they have the problem associated with them in that they restrict what it is that you can do as a result of the underlying drives. They're very restrictive. But let's have a look at what the reading says generally. Looking at the underlying energy, firstly, we have blue over grey. Grey internally is a feeling of confusion, uncertainty, a need for finding a middle road. There is something about the entirety of December for you October people that prevents you from seeing things clearly. And yet that's exactly what you want to do. That's why the grey is there. You're trying to find a path out of the fog. And what you are doing in the real world as a response to this trying to find that pathway is you're doing a lot of hard work. Blue in the real world has to do with duty and responsibility and getting yourself organized and nurturing, but it's all nurturing that is pointed outwards. It goes out towards others. So you're taking care of business, even though inside you're not really sure what that business is. Now, coming into the end, the energy that's coming into the month is green over white. Now, this is sort of like a near-death experience, if you like. Internally, you have had a flash of reality. There's been a massive reality check that begins the month that you've probably had left over from November. And as a result of that reality check, you have found yourself in a situation where in the real world, you need to get away. You need to find a new path, new ideas, new ways of doing things, new pastures. And in that trying to escape from this reality check, you're actually taking a bit of a gamble, because when we take green and white together and form a paler green, we're actually taking ourselves further away from what is to the realms of what might be or could be or may be, depending on how luck would have it. And here, that gambling energy is one that is causing you to feel somewhat anxious, if you like. It's not the same sort of anxiety we get when we have yellow in a reading, but this is an anxiety that comes with things need to be better, because there's almost a desperation associated with this green and white combination. Now, the underlying energy impacts on this in certain ways. We have green over grey. Now, the grey uncertainty, confusion, the wanting to find yourself a middle road comes through in the real world as actually looking actively for new opportunities. You're looking for new ways of doing things, new opportunities that will enable you to get away from whatever it is that is causing this conflict down here. On the other hand, we also have blue over white. Now, this is sort of like an involuntary sacrifice. Again, that flash of reality, that reality check that hit you or hits you at the beginning of the month, comes through as you having to do certain things. There are jobs that have to be done. Nobody else is going to do them. They're up to you and you entirely. And whether you like it or not, that reality check says you must do this work. And so you can't really escape it. By the middle of the month, things have changed. And I'm not sure whether this is because you have developed some sort of an illness, or whether you've just simply given up, or whether you are exhausted. All of those readings come together in this pink. Pink is the color of baby energy. It's the color that's associated with not having the ability to say no. You can't resist things. You can't fight them. And often it's associated with a sudden onset of an illness, because you can't really fight a cold once you have been exposed to it. You're going to be infected. On the other hand, it could just be that you are missing the sort of love and care and attention that you're after. And in the real world, you will be very caring and loving towards other people in order to get some of that love and attention back to yourself. So in some ways, pink on pink is also a little bit of selfishness. Now that selfishness or self-centeredness is not necessarily a negative thing, because sometimes we have to be a little bit selfish in order to be able to look after ourselves and our own best interests. When we have pink over grey, there is a certain degree of uncertainty that causes you to want to reach out to others, but also to allow others to impinge upon your space. So people are doing things to you and for you that you really have no ability to resist. So there is a lack of resistance as a result of this confusion inside. How do you resist? What can you resist? Is it worthwhile even attempting to resist? All of those questions have to be asked. On the other hand, we can also have blue over pink. Now, when we have pink as the driver internally, the need for love, the need for attention, the need for simply allowing yourself to recover from a lack of that energy. In the real world, when duty calls and you need to do certain things, it means that you are expected to carry on regardless. Even though you may be exhausted internally, in the real world, the work still has to continue. And because you cannot resist, because you have no energy to do so, because you cannot say no, in the real world, you're still doing the hard work. Now, pink and blue together form a very pale purple. And that pale purple has all got to do with change, with having to fix things that have been broken. And while these things that have been broken are mainly mental things, that is their ideas, their belief systems and so forth, you need to repair. You need to rethink what it is that you believe in, is what the issue is here in the middle of the month. By the end of the month, we have white on white. This is a clash with reality. While here you had a certain preponderance of reality impinging upon you internally, here it's just a straight out, that's the reality. This is the mirror. Life is holding up a mirror to you, and you have to face it, and you have to respond to what you see in that mirror. Now, depending on how you've traveled through here, what you see might be quite lovely. On the other hand, it might not be so lovely. And it depends, again, on the choices that you made back here and how you've been able to navigate this time of vulnerability and also the uncertainty that underpins all of this. White over grey means that you have a situation where that uncertainty and confusion and needing to just balance yourself out in the real world comes across as energy dissipated in all directions, things coming at you from all directions, and you're constantly being thrown off balance again. So the more you seek balance, the less you're likely to find it. On the other hand, we have blue over white, which is the same as we had back here. That is a sense of emptiness that is being filled with duty, the involuntary sacrifice. You don't have any options. You need to do what has to be done, and that permeates the end of the month. It means you've got a lot of responsibility on your hands. That responsibility is not necessarily of your choice, but now that it is there, you have to deal with it. So let's have a look at the colours that are missing. We have no black, but we do have white. Now, even though grey exists and grey has black within the white, as a colour on its own, black does not exist. There's no red, there's no yellow. You have green, you have blue, there's no brown or orange, but you do have grey, there's no purple, you have pink, but there's no cyan. So here with these 5 colours, we have all of the energy, all of the skills, all of the activities that you will be engaging with in December 2025. What is missing from that reading are these 7 sets of skills. We have the ability to withdraw and simply take time out. The ability to be in charge, to be your own boss, to make your own decisions. The ability to learn and remember what you have learned from experiences. The ability to create goals and ambitions and to develop the practical skills that are necessary for that. The ability to survive a crisis or become social in whatever field you need to face up to. The ability to create change to survive catastrophe, but also to heal. And finally, the ability to create peace and harmony and just a sense of well-being within your life. Of those 7 colours, which is the most appealing and which is the least appealing? Taking those 2 colours and placing them in your life will fill out some of the lack of information and experience that comes with this mirror that is happening here towards the end of the month. If you incorporate those into your life, and it doesn't matter how you do so, then those colours will fill in some of this space. And when they fill it in, they actually allow you to end up somewhere else rather than feeling emptied out, as this is predicting for the end of December. Let's have a look at what the Oracle has to say. It says bloom. A bloom is a flower that indicates that a plant is reaching its ripeness. It indicates that there is something that has grown from a tiny seed and now is in its full, glorious vision. Blooming comes when we embrace reality, when the mirror that we look into shows us back to be something beautiful, exactly as the pink tends to suggest. Well, the reading has been fairly short this time. That's partially because of the time constraints. December is a very busy month for most of us, so I don't have much time, and I dare say neither do you. And I dare say that a shorter reading would be far more beneficial to you. But I do have an offer on the table. If you've gotten this far and you've actually listened to the entirety of the reading and you feel it has something in it for you, why not contact me on my Gmail account, which is in the description. I'll also put it in the show notes. And in doing so, take up an offer of a free personal reading that we can do either via Zoom, such as a discussion here and now, or I can do it anonymously for you. But you need to ask for it. The decision is yours. In the meantime, thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And if you have any questions or any comments to make, those would be appreciated down in the comments section, which tends to be fairly bare most of the time. Anyway, may you have a wonderful December. May the colours that you choose work for you in a way that enables you to feel at peace and in harmony with the world and all around. And let's look forward to a 2026 that is a little less chaotic than this year has been. Until next time, bye.